let's talk Lions Tour for fans. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and it's not really until you hear some of the stuff that's going on that you really get how big this tour is for just in general, but also especially for New Zealand. We hear all the numbers, but at the end of the day we hear these numbers all the time and you kind of go, well, yeah, that's a big number, but what does that really kind of mean? So we hear that they're kind of bringing sort of 40 or 50,000 fans to New Zealand. That's a whole country, so surely that's not that many people. It's not going to have that big an impact. But this is a country that really defines itself by its rugby team. And whilst they might not all turn up, might be a lot of armchair supporters and other things that now take people's attention away from it, New Zealand still is big on their rugby. And they still talk about it a lot. And this thing only happens once every 12 years. This is the second biggest rugby event after the Rugby World Cup. And there's also a lot of media attention, but also a lot of media investment in this as well. Sky, for example, is putting on lots of adverts talking about how big this is. And also so are the big newspapers over here. And even if they're not the official one, they're managing to advertise it without using the word Lions to make sure they get their adverts out there and get people listening or reading their stuff. So it is a big deal over here. And it's when you kind of hear some of the events, some of the things that are going on around this, that you realise kind of how big it's going to be. So we'll talk about this sort of army of caravanners. I've had a look at using campers, not caravanners. Looked at hiring campers before, and the price of them has gone up. But still, clearly they are a favourite way of getting around this country. Gives you the freedom to stop where you like and sort of have a cup of tea, and so these some quite long distances to travel here. But so when when the test matches are in Auckland, for example, there are expected to be so many extra camper vans here, they're having to open up extra campsites. And in a city, how do you do that? So the race courses are being opened up. So the infields of the LSE race course, and there's a second race course they're looking at opening up as well, is going to be a temporary camper van park. College Rifles, I think, is also having a temporary camper van park at their place. That'll be obviously on a much smaller scale than the inside of a race course track. And these things are big things. So there's clearly a lot of people coming along, and clearly New Zealand's infrastructure just cannot cope with how many people they're going to be here, so they're having to do these extra things. It is a big thing for here. Also, we talk about having sort of fan sites. Auckland's going to have 3 different fan sites for this, for those people that can't make it to the game. So not only have they got the biggest stadium in New Zealand, which will have sort of 40, 50,000 people in it, they're also going to have 3 different fan sites around Auckland for those that haven't been able to get tickets to go watch this, not just one, as you've kind of maybe seen in other times. So they're clearly trying to take the weight off some of the public transport and spread it out as much as possible, because otherwise it's just not going to work. And with this many British people, British and Irish people arriving in the country and travelling around, there are clearly going to be people who are going to have problems. People's camper vans are going to get broken into, people are going to lose their passports, people are going to end up with various other problems whilst they're here. And so the British consulate, or British embassy, is kind of aware of this, and they know they're going to have to somehow be there for all these people. So they've actually gone and hired a coach that's going to travel around with the Lions and turn it into basically a mobile consulate or a mobile embassy. It's going to drive around the country following the Lions. So if you lose your passport, that's where you're going to go. I don't think you're going to get diplomatic immunity if you want to do a kind of WikiLeaks thing and jump on the coach for the immunity. I don't think that'll probably work. But if you lose your passport, they're going to be around for you. And that's just what's happening in Auckland. Trying to keep track of what's happening in the rest of the country is just impossible. I mean, there's clearly going to be big events around the rest of the place as well. But it's when you see this kind of organisation, these kind of things going on, that you realise kind of how much planning has had to go into this, not just by the team, but by various councils and various other people, just to cope with the fact that the Lions are going to arrive. And one of the things we've been talking about the up-and-coming Rugby World Cup was how far out we've had these the draw for the different pools and understanding who's going to be playing who. And part of all that is these are the kind of logistics that Japan are going to have to put in place as well. They're going to have to know, do we have enough hotel rooms at certain grounds to host certain countries? So England, for example, can only go to certain, one of the biggest follower bases, and travellers will only be able to play in certain venues. They can't play in other venues just because there's just not enough hotel rooms around there to host all the fans. So those sort of things have got to be taken in place, and that's why it's happened so far out. Maybe the embassy in Japan will also have a travelling consulate or travelling embassy that'll drive round to where the England venues are, or the England games, Welsh games, Scottish games are as well. So these are the kind of things that go on that you don't really think about when you're just going to turn up for the games. Anyway, I thought it was all kind of interesting and fun, and it's all part of the flavour around what is a massive tour. The Lions land on Wednesday. I might see if I can get out to the airport to go and greet them, or at least, hey, see them land. They're not going to greet them, they're not going to say hello to me, are they? Let's be honest. And so they land on Wednesday, so that's 2 days' time now. So in about 48 hours, they'll be in New Zealand here already. So have a great week. Enjoy the build-up to the Lions tour. Sign up to my newsletter. The link is above. Give this, share it with your friends if you want to share a little bit of what's going on around the Lions. Give it the old thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. All that kind of stuff helps. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with my Super Rugby predictions for next weekend. That does keep ticking along. It's amazing to think that I've already gone to the last Super Rugby home game of the season for the Blues when the finals aren't until August. So it's a bit of a strange schedule and fixture setup, but that's just how it is. I'm really looking forward to going to Eden Park to watch the Blues play the Lions, and I'll be at both the Eden Park tests. So if you're going to be there, do let me know, hit me up, and I'll also be doing my reports from the stands as well, so look out for my videos. Cheers, have a great week, and catch you tomorrow.